sometimes I feel like when I make decisions to do what's normal, to do what's average, to do what's expected, I am being mediocre. A lot of the times we are robotically moving in a direction that matches the vision that somebody else had for our lives. God equipped me to take bold action steps without needing to see the full vision. Help me to not conform to what is working for other people, who Jesus, and give me the courage to execute my own ideas. Am I in denial about who I really want to be? Are you really going after what you truly want? We are still unlearning and unwiring our minds to think how we were taught to think. We are still trying to form our own opinions and have our own action steps that we take within our lives. It is okay to have enough and still want more. And I think I'm trying to free myself from those strongholds and those chokeholds within my own thought process. Focus does not have to be singular. When people say you need to get your mind right, you need to get clear on what you want and focus on that one thing, I realized that that advice was actually holding me back. You need to have the proper discernment that when you get that type of advice to know if it applies to you in this season, if you need to use it or not. This one is for the millennial who is out there doing the work and really trying to become the person that they really want to be. Let's go beneath the seams. Life can be so complex. The human experience is far more expansive than what we can see, and we spend so much time just trying to figure it out. We put on makeup, nice clothing, and we go out into the world trying to hold it all together. When beneath those seams, we are being ripped apart. Some of the ripping is self-inflicted, some of it is because of the pressure of society, but all of it is limiting. Limiting in our quest to just simply be who we truly are. We're more complex than we give ourselves credit for. We fill our brains with popular sayings like, oh, it ain't that serious, loosen up, or just live a little. But life in itself is a deep, non-surface level experience, and sometimes it can be pretty serious. So often we force ourselves to only exist at the surface, never allowing ourselves to be fully exposed. We let the layers pile up until the pressure becomes too much to bear, and then we rip. Sometimes into shreds, and a lot of the times in silence. Beneath means to go below the surface, and seams are what are supposed to keep us joined together. Because we are taught, no matter what, you just have to keep yourself together. We create this image, never letting people in, never going beneath the seams. I don't know if we ever get the answers we expect from life, but I'm starting to find peace in the process of just figuring it out. Instead of forcing the complexities of this human experience to be hidden, let's peel back the layers and go beneath them. Beneath the seams, a love letter to millennials who are just trying to figure it out. Beneath the Seams, the podcast, now available on all platforms. Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Seams. I am your host, Kayla Riggins, and this is the safe seat. The scene seat, the seat where I get all up in y'all business because y'all be like, girl, you are loud. Why you all in my business? And I'm able to be in y'all's business because y'all business is my business, okay? We are the same people. We're going through the same things in life. And that is the purpose of this seat, is to talk about the things that people don't be wanting to talk about and expose our true selves so that we can ultimately live better, love better, and authentically be who we are as we navigate this roller coaster called life. So I'm so happy that you are here. If you are returning, what's up? Y'all are my people. Love the fact that I'm finding my people. Some of the data is showing that each week people are coming back. Returning users is what the analytics call y'all. So I'm happy that people are enjoying these conversations, and thank you for being here and trusting me as your guide in these conversations, because my life being shambles and I don't know what I'm talking about either. But I do know that there is purpose in all of this. And I know that by simply being vulnerable and sharing the things that I'm going through, it helps somebody too. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you for being a part of my tribe, a part of my people. And I look forward to us continuing to connect and grow. Okay. So listen, I feel like every week I sit here and be like, girl, it's been a week. But guess what? Consistency is key. So girl, it's been a week. One of the things that I have been really trying to work through in my mind is becoming who I know I am destined to be. And I am in a lot of ways a version of her, right? At 18, I can definitely be proud of myself at 33 and say 18-year-old me would say that at 33, she became the person who she was supposed to be. And so that's what this space is all about, is enjoying the process of figuring it out and being grateful for each stage and each phase. And so this week I found myself lacking focus and really beating myself up and being hard on myself about needing to get super specific and determined about one thing. So let me tell y'all the story. I'm in the space of revamping my business, and really putting podcasting, hosting, and speaking at the forefront of the business, and then allowing the work that I do with my clients and helping other people with their personal brand be not secondary, but not my main selling point. I am really focused on taking more opportunities and doing more work to better my personal brand, in addition to still helping people with theirs. Historically, I told y'all in a couple of past episodes ago, I forget which one it was. It was the other way around. I found myself putting my business first in all ways, and I had tied my identity in terms of my effectiveness. I tied it to my ability to get somebody else a result, and I want to take back owning and knowing that there is power in me just simply being me, and that is a part of my gifting, and I should be able to pursue a career path and eat and feed my family. Y'all know my family is just me right now, but feed myself by using my gifts. And so it's requiring a great deal of submission and obedience, spiritually and physically. And a lot of times I get so weighted down. I get so weighted down with feeling like I'm focusing on the wrong things, feeling like I need to know the proper steps. And so one of the things that I actually, this is a prayer that I have been leaning on. I prayed it in January of this year, and then I stopped to pray it again at the end of last month. And so it says, God, equip me to take bold action steps without needing to see the full vision. Help me to not conform to what is working for other people, Jesus, and give me the courage to execute my own ideas. And when we talk about what's working for other people, sometimes other people is your old self. I know proof of concept that growing my business based on serving clients works. I've seen it work. And so sometimes I struggle to break away from the rinse and repeat of that to focus on growing myself. And so when I pray that prayer, it's like, I don't want to have to see the full vision. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me stuck in terms of taking action steps. I want to be able to trust God and trust myself and go with my gut and take baby steps, even if they aren't getting me massive results, and knowing that all of those things will eventually add up, right? And so I was having this conversation with myself, because y'all know I be in here by myself, chilling with myself, talking to myself. I'm very extroverted. I like people. I like going outside, but I am an only child and I ain't no stranger to alone time. And so I'm cool with that. And so I was in here praying, and not in the sense of praying to God in a intentional set down with my Bible spiritual time. I pray all day, every day. I'll be driving and say a quick prayer. Just me talking to God. I feel like the way you pray looks different. It depends on your relationship with God, your positioning, your posture. Those are the things that I feel like have to be intact. And then God hears your prayers all throughout the day. You're cooking, you're walking your dog, whatever it is. I don't subscribe to prayer time having to look a certain way in order for God to hear you. I still do it. I still make it a practice. I actually need to get back to dedicated prayer time, but I try not to beat myself up too much about, I didn't take 30 minutes today and dedicate it to praying and talking to God. I've instead incorporated God in my life all day, every day. And so because my heart posture is there and my positioning and my petitions in my prayers are there, I'm able to kind of tap into that without needing to stop and give that dedicated time. Not saying that it's not important, just sharing with you my journey and some of the things that has worked for me. If that don't work for you, okay, that's your business. But this works for me. This is my life and my salvation. Okay. So in talking to myself and in talking to God this week, I was like, am I in denial about who I really want to be? Things come to me, downloads come to me in the form of like perfectly positioned sentences or questions or thoughts, sometimes even like cliche things. But I was thinking like, girl, are you being honest with yourself? Are you really going after what you truly want? You say you want these things. You say you want to be able to help these people. You want to be able to amass a certain amount of success, but are you in denial about what that looks like? And when I think about the word denial, I think about all of the things that we were taught about how life has to look and who we should be. And I think in a lot of ways, particularly in these 30s, we are still unlearning and unwiring our minds to think how we were taught to think. We are still trying to form our own opinions and have our own action steps that we take within our lives. A lot of the times we are robotically moving in a direction that matches the vision that somebody else had for our lives. And if you Black, like me, you know, we are still dealing with the remnants from our community having a 400-year setback, you know? And when I think about that, sometimes I feel like when I make decisions to do what's normal, to do what's average, to do what's expected, I am being mediocre. Sometimes I feel like there is a conditioning inside of me based on how I was raised and the things that I was showed to have access to. I retreat to, oh, okay, well, this is just enough. Making this amount of money a year, that's enough. Being able to buy these amount of things, that's enough. And it's like, what's wrong with wanting more? It is okay to have enough and still want more. And I think I'm trying to free myself from those strongholds and those chokeholds within my own thought process. I find myself sometimes just saying like, girl, just, you always trying to be extra. Yeah, I'm extra, y'all. I'm real extra. In real life, on the internet, the way I dress, my expressions, I'm dramatic, I'm extra. It is a part of who I am. I love it about myself. Hasn't always been embraced, but I do think it's a part of my superpower. And so sometimes I use my extraness against me. I'm like, do you really need to have a 7-figure personal brand? Do you really need to work with 30 women this year? Do you really need to have a 5-year plan of, wanting to start a investment portfolio? Do you really need to have desires to invest in real estate? I start to think like, can't you just like be regular? Like, can't you just be normal and, get you a little cool 60K a year, 70K a year job and just rock out with that? And I realized that those thoughts are limiting. They play into my limiting beliefs and they keep me in denial about who I really want to be. And I know that the giftings that I have, what is to accompany that is going to require bigger, but it's also going to result in a bigger reward. And sometimes that's scary. It's easy to talk yourself into playing small. It is easy to talk yourself into doing what is expected. And that's just the journey that I have been on. I have been making significant consistency strides with accomplishing those goals. But y'all know this seat is all about telling it how it is. The shit is hard. There are days where I just want to revert back to what was working. And so when we talk about that prayer was me asking God, help me to go beyond what I know to work and trust that when I submit to your will and when I'm obedient based on the vision that we have for my life, when I partner with you, just know that that's going to work too. And it's going to work even better. I was having a conversation with my cousin a couple of days ago, and I was telling her that in a lot of ways, I'm mourning my old life. I've been back in Atlanta a year, but I haven't really settled in fully. In New York, pre-pandemic, it just was a time I felt really alive. And not that I feel unalive right now, but it's just different. I feel like I have to really make the best of what is happening around me. But at the same time, I'm not really sure if I'm stopping to enjoy it. And when I was in New York, things were just moving at a pace that were really in alignment with my ultimate vision. And now I kind of feel like I've slowed down. And I was telling her, I'm missing my old life. I feel myself mourning it. There were just always things. I always had an event to go to. There were speaking engagements in my inbox. There were brand deals in my inbox. And now, because I took time away from that to focus on my business, I feel like I'm mourning that side of my life. And she said to me, she was like, and this is an older cousin. And so she said to me, she was like, just trust me that it gets better. And I know people say that all the time, and I know that it can be very cliche, but she was like, I promise you that it gets better. You can't mourn what was because you're not opening up yourself to what God has for you. And sometimes it just takes a simple conversation with a simple saying. That's nothing I've never heard before, right? It's very cliche, but I personally believe in cliches. They are cliche for a reason. It's because they're true. And so sometimes that's all it takes to get you back solid, and get you in a stable condition with what you're doing and the things that you're going after in life. I tell y'all all the time, I be very emotionally unstable. One of the things that I'm learning about myself is that nervous system thing is real. When you were a little girl and your mama used to be like, girl, go sit down somewhere, you working on my nerves. We just thought that was black mama talk. Nah. Working on somebody's nerves is really real. And so I'm paying attention to how I respond and how I react and the beat of my heart and the pace of my breath in certain situations. And I find myself really emotionally unstable and my nervous system being out of tact sometimes. Out of tact, Jesus. Not intact, out of whack sometimes. And so I'm paying more attention to what thoughts am I having when that happens. I'm paying more attention to what am I consuming? Who am I around? What's my environment? And so having that simple conversation in a really simple way helped me to reset. It helped me to get focused on it being okay for me to want more and to want better, and that I shouldn't be so hard on myself about what was, because it's gone, right? All we can do is look forward to the future. And so when we think about that word denial, because I think it's important to define things, right? To make sure that we have the proper understanding of how we're using those words. And so denial, when you look it up, it says asserting that any particular statement or allegation is not true. The refusal or request and asserting that a true statement is not true. And when I think about me being in denial about who I really want to be, I think about it as excess. Am I in denial about the fact that these things are actually possible for me? When you talk about people being afraid of failure, I think that would be kind of like an example of being afraid of success. And so one thing that this week has taught me, because I am multifaceted, I'm a multifaceted creative, I'm a multifaceted woman, I'm very passionate about a multitude of things. And even with the work that I do with my clients, I'm always saying there is no need for you to niche. Go ahead and create your content, do what you need to do, talk about all of the things that you're passionate about. I'm very anti trends and just traditional practices when it comes to building your brand online. And so in my personal life, and even when it comes to what I'm working on within my own career, a message that was clear to me this week, and I want to share it with you guys. It became very clear to me that focus does not have to be singular. When people say you need to get your mind right, you need to get clear on what you want and focus on that one thing, I realized that that advice was actually holding me back. When you are multifaceted, when you are a creative like myself, we love a bunch of different things. We're good at a whole lot of things. We can make a lot of impact in many ways. So trying to shrink into one thing, trying to put yourself into a box does not work for somebody like me. And so I hope that that helps you if you are struggling in a season of focus, if you're in denial about what's really possible for you. Maybe, because this is what I realized it was for me, I was too busy trying to structure myself when I need to be a little unhinged to function. I need to have multiple things going on because I'm multifaceted. It is the way I express my personality. It is the way I make an impact, get my point across. And so when you think about the things that we're told, again, in terms of what success looks like, you need to focus on that one thing. And that one thing, until you finish that, you need to make sure that you don't stop doing it. And it's like, again, eat the meat, spit out the bone. You need to have the proper discernment that when you get that type of advice, to know if it applies to you in this season, if you need to use it or not. For me, I have realized that in this season, I can't take that advice because me trying to focus on just one thing was keeping me from doing anything. And so making room for my gifts, trusting and believing that every part of me, all of my multifacetedness, there is room for it, and there are opportunities available for me to build a life, a career, and be happy within doing all of those things. And so I like to get dressed. I like to put on makeup. I like to podcast. I like to host. I like to talk about content. I also like to talk about shoes, right? You don't have to box yourself in. And so that's more from a content perspective, but I just want you to know you may not have no interest listening to this in content at all. You may be a doctor, but you do not have to box yourself in to just medicine. You can be an advocate within your space. Maybe you want to start some type of publication within your space as a doctor where you want to be able to write articles. Maybe you want to be an author one day outside of being a doctor. Whatever it is that you're doing, I want you to understand that when someone says to find your focus does not have to be singular. You can focus on many things as long as they are all cohesive and they make sense to you. And so when you think about them being cohesive and making sense to you, focus doesn't have to be singular, but it should be significant. When you are focused on multiple things at once, they shouldn't be frivolous. They should all be significant, and hopefully they all work together for your greater goal. And that's what I realized about myself this week. It's like I'm beating myself up. I'm going crazy trying to figure out how to narrow it down and how to zone in on one thing. And that was keeping me from doing anything. I need to make sure that all of the things that I'm working on are significant and that they contribute to my overall goals. But I don't need to put so much pressure on myself to only focus on one thing at a time. And that was just a really big revelation for me. I almost feel definitely a sense of clarity, but like a weight lifted off my soul. And it's helping me to be easier on myself. That is one of my biggest goals, y'all. I am so hard on myself. Give me a hashtag. Give me a girl, me too, in the comments if that is you. But I am so hard on myself. I spend a lot of time overthinking, a lot of time in my head. And these are just some of the things that I'm learning and trying to be better in general, better to myself, better to the people in my life that I love, just better, being a better person, being better in my spiritual relationship. And those things start with being better to yourself. I can't show up in any capacity for anybody else until I am whole and better with me. And even being, lenient with myself in terms of what wholeness looks like. Some days you will feel whole and tomorrow you may not. It's not a destination. It's very much a journey. And so that's just the space that I have been in this week, realizing that I needed to free myself. Like, hey, look, it's okay that you want to have more and that you want to be multiple things. The person that you want to become is not a one lane chick. She is not linear. She's multi-layered, and it's okay for you to fully submit to that. I have been operating in a space of denial about who I really wanted to be, who I really want to be. And I tried to limit those things to only a certain facet of the many facets of who I am. And so I'm working on freeing myself, okay? Fantasia say, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me. Go ahead and free yourself. I am working on freeing myself from some of the things that have been placed on me by the way I was raised, the way we were taught to access success and what we could have. And then also, frankly, some of the things and the pressures that I put on myself. I say in the trailer, the intro for the podcast, I say some of the wounds that we experience are self-inflicted and some of them are from the pressures of society. And I think that this week I was dealing with a lot of those self-inflicted wounds of just feeling like things had to look a certain way in terms of my focus. And when I do that, that's how I would be able to take massive action. And just realizing that there are no rules. There is no right or wrong way. My friend Marley gave me some really good advice that I want to share with you guys. I was telling her, I was on the phone, unhinged, spiraling about something. And she said, it was so profound. We love an eloquent scholar. She said, you got to stop applying right and wrong to things. She was like, some things just are. You shouldn't spend so much time applying right and wrong to life's experiences. And I was like, okay, girl, well, what you doing? How was your day? Because at this point, you done shut me up. I have nothing else to say. Thank you for the profound philosophy because you got me right on together. She said, you should not spend too much time applying right and wrong to life's experiences. They're just experiences. And so I'm so grateful for my support group and my friends. Y'all check in with your people, talk to your people. Don't allow yourself to spiral in isolation because it's those little conversations. It's those little things that help you center yourself. When people really see you, they help you see yourself again. Oh, that's good. That might need to be its own episode. When you have people around you, friends, community, who really see you, who really know who you are, when you are having moments where you forgot who you are, they really help you see yourself again. And so I am so grateful for that. Okay, so this is the part of the show where we go beneath the comments. This is where I get to have conversation with you guys. You give me your feedback, your opinions, your aha moments, all of those things down in the comments. And last week's episode, y'all had some opinions. Okay, I'm going to decide if I'm going to cuss some of y'all out later. Because Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. I say, when they go low, we go to hell. We take it to the flow. So I'm going to decide. I've been responding to the comments. Obviously, it was an episode topic that really got people going. Most of the comments, of course, as usual, were more positive than anything. And we're having great conversations. And, we had a couple of trolls, a couple of people in the comments who had some not so pleasant things to say. And while I am very poised and put together, I will cuss your ass out. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to operate at my highest self or if I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. For now, I've decided not to respond because I ain't got time. I got things to do. But, late in the midnight hour, if the devil get a hold to me, I might have to cuss a couple of people out. But I enjoy it. Listen, let's just keep it respectful. You are entitled to your opinion as I am mine. And my goal here is not to argue with you. I just want to simply be authentic and vulnerable with my experience and what I'm going through so that I can live a better life and ultimately inspire somebody to do the same. And so this week's Beneath the Comments highlight comes from that exact theme, right? My exact mission. And that's how I trust that this has higher purpose. So what is her name? It says South, she spelled it SOUF, Southwest Houston, Texas. She said, this video was confirmation to move forward with my podcast. I've been saying for a while that I want to start one. Even wrote down the names a couple of weeks ago. I talk a lot and I love to talk, but not everyone I'm around wants to hear me talk, LOL. A podcast would allow me to share my perspective and reach audiences with people who actually want to hear me. I know my voice is a gift as well. And so this comment warmed my heart and it stood out to me because last week's episode topic was about being okay with not ever being somebody's wife or mother. And so I love that in the midst of all of the feedback and controversy and story sharing about being a mom and being a wife, she said, yeah, okay, all of that's great. But you being able to put this conversation out here has inspired me to curate my own. And that is the point of all of this. And that's why I chose her comment as a highlight to read, because that's why I do it. That is why I show up to this seat, even when it's hard, even when I'm second guessing and I'm questioning myself, because I truly believe that by virtue of me being who I am and using my power, it encourages somebody to unlock theirs, right? And so I'm so happy that you decided to start your podcast, girl. Let me know when it's out so that I can support you. And also let me know if you need any help with that. I'm always here to be a resource. And then the last one I want to read, because like I said, the comments were commenting. And so I'm actually going to go back to them in future episodes and pull from comments from that. And then some of those actually inspired episode topics. So we'll be diving into that comment section for a while. But for now, I want to read this one. Her name is The Story Was Better in My Head. Such a great I love when y'all have creative handles. She said, a minute in and you already changed my view on my life. I love that so much. I read it and I thought to myself, well, I hope it was good. I hope I had you change your view on your life in a positive way. But that was a tiny affirmation from God as well. Not so tiny, actually, a big affirmation from God, because that is my goal, is for us to all just be easy, be easier on ourselves, breathe easy, live easier, and have a more meaningful human experience. And so the fact that something I said, already made you change your viewpoint on your situation, hopefully for the better, that means a lot to me. And I don't take it for granted that you guys feel comfortable to share that with me. So that will do it for this week's Beneath the Comments. That is where we talk. That is where we have all of the conversation. We keep it going. So I look forward to reading them. I get back to y'all. I answer most of them. And so let's keep the conversation going down there. If you want me to read your comment, go ahead and leave it. And girl, put girl, read mine on the podcast. Also, feel free to make episode suggestions as well as ask me questions. I will answer your questions on the pod as well. So just let's keep the conversation going down beneath the comments. All right, y'all, that will do it for today's episode of Beneath the Seams. Listen, before we get out of here, I would love if you would stop and take a moment. If there's anything I have ever said that has resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps. It helps more people discover these conversations. It helps the community grow, and it helps me be able to really get the word out about the podcast. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, child, the reviews over there is struggling. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please take the time, leave a review in Apple Podcasts. And if you are watching on YouTube, you like the visual experience, because I'm always give you a visual. Please take the time to subscribe. Welcome to the fam. Leave a comment, share it. Thank you for those who have been doing a heavy amount of sharing. All of those little things really mean more than you will ever realize. So share it, like it, subscribe it, leave a comment. I appreciate you so much. So listen, no matter how multifaceted you are, no matter how many things that you are passionate about, wherever you are in your process of becoming who you truly believe you are meant to be, my wish for you, my prayer for you is that you get out of denial, because it is possible, and you simply find peace in the process of just figuring it out. I will see you guys next time. Bye.